everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving, because if we stop moving, we will freeze. Because it is snowing outside. Yeah. You know, I've lived in a lot of places around the country in my 36 years, and every place that I've ever lived has some variation on the saying, like, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes, that kind of a thing. Colorado's the one place where, it really means it. Dang, I meant to start recording that. Oh well, whatever. Keep your fingers crossed I'm able to download this one, because I wasn't able to download last week, so I won't be able to upload it to YouTube, which is really annoying. Anyway, yeah, it's snowing out. Yesterday it was 90 degrees and literally dropping ash on everybody's cars because of massive fires back in the state. And today it's snowing. So, you know, a bonus that will hopefully help with the fires. I had to bring my herb box inside. Look at these old buddies. They would not have been, I need to trim my basil. They would not have been happy out on the porch. Ugh. So, you know, that's the one good thing. I feel really bad for all of my friends who have these beautiful gardens that have been so prolific this summer and normally would get another almost 2 months of growing time, because usually first snow isn't until October. So we're a little early on our usual first snow, but yeah, keep your fingers crossed that last minute greenhouse construction actually does something. So, but my herbs are fine. Anyway, hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good weekend. Yeah, I hope for those of you who had an actual day off yesterday for Labor Day, I hope that you were able to enjoy that day. I definitely did. I very deliberately didn't schedule any like hangout time with friends or business meetings or anything along those lines, because I was like, I really need a day where I am in complete control of my time. And so I just really focused in on giving myself that yesterday, because I'm really bad at giving myself that time where I don't have to worry about streaming or uploading or building programs for my clients, or I have weekly things that I do with my friends, and they are wonderful things, and I do love doing them, but that's also time that is assigned, for lack of a better term, and it can get really exhausting when you feel like none of your time is really your own. So I really focused on, okay, I need to have this day as a day that is entirely for me, and it was great. It was great. And having done it, I'm like, okay, I need to do this more often. I really need to make a commitment to myself to having time, and not just like an hour or two, but like an honest to God full day that I just block off and I say, this is my time, and I'm not even going to schedule anything social, because even social stuff is stuff that you're making a commitment to do something with another person, and sometimes you really just need to be able to control your time. I reclaimed my time. Woo! And then it snowed today. So I have not gone bike commuting this week, which is very sad in some ways, but on Monday I didn't feel like biking through the ash falling from the sky. And today I did not feel like biking through the snow falling from the sky. So, I think I made the right choice. Even if I'm a little sad that I missed out on some cycling this week. But there's more of the week, hopefully. Maybe I can get some in later. All right, my friends, you're here on a Tuesday, which means you know what you're in for. It's time for Perpetual Motion, the class where even when we are not doing a timer with exercises, we are still moving. We have an active rest exercise called cross jacks. I'll demonstrate it at the end of the warm-up. And when we are not doing one of the assigned exercises, we are doing cross jacks. So we will keep moving for the entire hour, or you will. I get a little leeway because I'm the teacher. But you keep moving for the entire hour. So this is where we put on our marathon mindset, not our sprint mindset, and we go, all right, I'm here, so I have to be ready and able to manage my energy for an entire hour so that I can keep going. So let's quickly run through our pre-class checklist. We got our water. We've got our comfy clothes. We've got our mats, and let's turn on our fitness wearables. Eventually, I will stop doing the pre-class checklist here since I know that it's on the intro cards, but I keep forgetting about that. So it'll take a couple of weeks before that actually makes its way into my brain. Where is my phone? That's a great question, because the next thing that we should do is get on our mats and get ready for our warm-up. But phone would really be helpful for that endeavor. Hey, here you are. Here you are. Slack notifications. Nobody contacts me on there anymore. All right, my loves. Everybody ready? Ready for constant movement, constant motion? Just think that, you're going for a run in the snow, and it's real cold out there, so you need to make sure that you're keeping your body temperature up appropriately. So you need to keep moving the whole time, even when it starts to feel a little harder. You need to keep moving. All right, no hypothermia here. So everybody on your backs, on your mats, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as we hear that horn, we will be doing hip rocks and bridges. Hey, there's that horn. The one thing that I do like is that I do not need to worry about the sun coming out and doing funky things to our lighting, because let me tell you, the sun is not, I'm not going to see the sun at all today with that cloud bank out there. I am not concerned, so I've got the curtains entirely open, which is really nice, and will hopefully help the lighting a little bit. Oh gosh. But yeah, it's interesting. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh God, this terrible weather. And I'm like, yeah, cold, wetness, and it's been closer to rain than snow for much of the day. It finally has transitioned into snow because everything finally cooled down enough that it could. But I'm still honestly quite pleased. It was, I will say, a little more difficult than usual to set up for stream because, I got home and I'd been outside in the cold, and it's actively snowing. And that thing in wintertime when you get into your house after you've been outside and you're like, oh man, perfect. It's warm in here. There are blankets. I can make myself, a mug of tea and just settle in and watch the snow fall or read a book or play a video game. And I definitely thought about doing all of those things when I got home. But then I realized that it was important to get set up for class. All right, my friends, we are doing our leg sequence now. So we are all on one side, lifting that top leg, our best Jane Fonda impression. Here we are. Remember, for the warm-up, and especially on Perpetual Motion Day, so especially on a day where we are not going to get any of those like stop moving rests, you want to make sure that you are not immediately going to 110% of your energy. Okay? This is a warm-up, and what that means is that we are using this time to build, to turn on all of the systems that we need to boot up for exercise, right? So, all right, top foot flat on the floor in front of the bottom knee, lifting that bottom leg. So we're not here to be lifting our legs higher than anyone's ever done that before. You know, we're not here to be doing, you know, massive numbers of reps and all of that stuff. This process, this whole sequence, this whole starting 16 minutes is really focused on just warming your body up, waking up all of the systems that need to be engaged for us to do the exercise that we are going to do for the next hour. So always remember that, you know, if you're on the mat and you're kind of beating yourself up because you're not feeling super energetic, don't worry about it. You know, you're not supposed to feel super energetic yet. And sometimes, all right, foot behind, that bottom knee still lifting the bottom leg. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we, you know, get on the mat and we're like, oh man, I'm so ready for exercise. And then we have to pull ourselves back a little bit. Remind ourselves that we've got a full hour. And if you run through all of your energy in the warm-up, then you're going to be missing out on a lot of important exercise. But if you're, you know, on your mat and doing the warm-up right now and going, man, I feel a little slower than usual right now, that's totally fine. You're still booting up your brain. Your brain is still turning on and going, oh, I need to start sending electrical signals down to the muscles so that they activate for this work. And your muscle fibers are still going, ooh, I should probably kickstart those energy production systems, start breaking down some ATP and all that jazz. All right, on to the other side, same 3 leg exercises, starting with Jane Fonda. So it is totally natural and totally okay to be doing the warm-up and to be here going, I don't feel really energized yet, you know. That will probably change by the end of the warm-up, you know, because by then we will have progressed through all the movement, you know, we will have gotten up off the floor, gotten a little more active, stretched out a little bit more. All of those systems will be almost fully booted up, you know, and so by the end of the warm-up, you're like, okay, now I'm feeling ready and raring to go. But you don't have to start the warm-up that way. You know, you can be, you know, I'm here sort of watching the snowfall outside of my window and, you know, still a little bit in that, man, I really wish that I could curl up with tea and a good book mindset. And that's totally fine, you know. It is totally fine. It's nice to feel a little cozy while we're doing our exercise. And let me tell you, so the building that I live in, you know, can only do either cold or heat through its HVAC system. It can't support both at one time, which means they have a specific day when they switch the system over from AC to heat and vice versa. And of course, they're not switching the system over right now because usually the time to switch it over isn't until like late October, and it still doesn't make sense to switch it over now because, you know, we're going to have a few cold days and then go right back up to the 70s and 80s most likely. But yeah, so, you know, we are not able to turn on heat today in these apartments. Thankfully, these apartments hold heat pretty damn well, which is really nice. So, you know, it is actually pretty comfy in here. But getting to do a little exercise is going to help that, and it's going to help keep me cozier, and then I'll get to, then taking the nice warm shower afterwards, it's going to be great. So, look, we can, as we head into the winter months, we can all be using exercise as temperature control. And that is a pretty awesome thing to use it for, I think. All right, my friends, let us do our scorpion twists. Oh, yeah. If it is very cold where you are, you know, move carefully in starting out these active stretch sequences. You know, you don't want to throw your back out. And I definitely did my first couple of reps here and went, oof, I'm feeling a little stiffer than usual because of the temperature. So I'm going to take it a little easier, make sure that I am slowly but surely warming up my back, and then soon we'll stand up and start doing our torso rotations. Get off the ground, get a little bit more movement going. All right, here we go. Standing up, holding our imaginary PVC pipes above our heads. Oh yeah, here we go. Big torso rotations. Remember to to change directions every, I'd say 2 rotations or so, just to make sure that you're evening yourself out, because we only do this the one time, so we're not doing 2 runs in a row of these torso rotations. So you need to change directions every couple of them so that you're evening yourself out. And remember to initiate the circle from your hips, not you're not moving your arms and following. Your arms are staying in the same position relative to your head, no matter where you are. All right, now still holding those pipes, we are now doing our squats. So first opportunity for squats. And what do we do here? We start checking in on that squat form, particularly the knees, making sure the knees are going straight over the feet at all points. We don't want them caving in towards each other at any point, really. So you don't want to be squatting down with them caving in like that. But you also, if you can get down here, but then you can't stand without them trying to pull together, then you still want to narrow your stance a little bit and practice with a narrower stance where you can maintain that form the whole time. And then once you feel really strong with that, then you can widen your stance again and see if you're able to maintain that. All right, imaginary pipes down, and Samson stretches. So remembering to keep the leg that's behind you straight. Okay, we do not do a double bent leg lunge here. And we're really letting ourselves sink down into that stretch. You're feeling that stretch along the front of your hip flexor. And just really sink down into it. Point those arms straight up at the ceiling and make sure that your hips are staying facing forward the whole time. No opening out to a warrior 2 or anything like that. You want them facing forward at all times, like you have little headlights on your pelvic bones. All right, now down to this nice wide squat. Yowza. And we've got our hands on our knees again, to help keep them safely over our feet. And we're just moving first one shoulder in towards the midline, then the other. So nice back twists, a little bit more focused on the upper back right now as opposed to the lower back, which is what the scorpion twists really dig into. But your shoulders should be the only things moving, okay? So not moving up and down out of the squat. We're not letting our knees sort of follow in as we bring our shoulders in. Just holding this position nice and stable. And now, welcome to cardio. Woohoo! Here we go. Remember, we are still not going for 100% of our energy, okay? We are still booting up. This is the last segment, basically. So we're getting the cardiovascular system turning on, getting that heart going a little bit faster, getting that breath going a little bit faster, but not, we're doing bare minimum jumping jacks here, okay? So no need for big dramatic jumping jacks here. Just chilling and moving around a little bit, getting ourselves used to the idea that we are going to be doing some form of movement like this for the rest of class. So get ready for that. Here we are for our kick throughs. Make sure that your standing leg, 90-degree angle, knee pointing up towards the ceiling, not letting your butt sink down towards the floor, and not letting that knee cave in towards the midline, okay? Same thing that we look for when we're doing our squats. We don't want that knee caving forward, okay? We want nice, safe position here so that when we are turning and going from side to side, we're not putting unhealthy torquing pressures on our knee, okay? So we're able to move safely from one side to the other. All right, and last, but certainly not least, here we are with our burpees. So make sure you're doing a wave push-up, okay? And make sure you're doing that nice victory clap up at the top as you jump, keeping those elbows right in towards the side as you do the push-up, okay? Yes, I know some of you really want to be doing a plank push-up there, but that is not the exercise, all right? And get ready, because as soon as the final horn goes off, you do not get to stop moving. You have to get right back up and start doing cross jacks. Hey, right now. So these are cross jacks, and this is our active rest exercise. So we're using this to get our heart rate to come down a little bit, get our breathing under control. You can modify it depending on your needs. So you can kick the feet forward and just jump back and forth between them, or you can do this sort of side to side jump. I'm okay with any of those as modifications, so long as you do not stop moving, okay? That is the main thing. Woo! Good warm up, my friends. Make sure you have your water too. I meant to say this at the beginning of class, but since we are moving the whole time, you want to make sure that your water is somewhere really easily accessible from a standing position, okay? So you're not going to be able to come over to a water bottle on the floor while still doing your cross jacks. And like have to stop doing the exercise, pick up the water bottle. We don't want that. So make sure that your water bottle is at standing height, right next to where you're doing your cross jacks, so that you can just grab it, have some water, and keep hydrating yourself during class, because that's still important, even though we're moving the whole time. Much better. All right. So we're going to start with an AMRAP set today, and not a guided one. So you are going to get some of the control, not all of it, but some of it. So 5-minute timer, 3 exercises, and once that timer starts, you get to determine when you switch between each exercise, and you just keep rotating between the 3 exercises for the entire 5-minute timer. Here are our exercises. So the first one is going to be side-to-side superheroes. So if you, like me, are using a mat that's a little thicker, I've got these puzzle pieces under my yoga mat that are like an inch thick. Just be aware you might want to pull that mat out of the way for this. I definitely struggle doing these on this mat because the mat's not wide enough for me to do the whole exercise without sort of rolling off. Anyway, side-to-side superheroes. Lying on your side, lifting both arms and legs off of the ground, then rolling over the back, arms and legs still off the ground. I'm engaging my core to make that happen. And then up onto your other side. And you're just going back and forth and back and forth. And you do not have to stay in a nice straight line when you're up on your side. I usually will bow into almost a U shape. It just makes it easier, especially when you're going from side to side really quickly. Okay? Then we're going to do turtle burpees. So turtle, which means we start by rolling. Not quite that far. Rolling up onto our shoulders, then up onto our feet. Plank the hands, jump back into a plank. Do that wave push-up, jump forward, jump up, and then again. So very similar to our burpee, but with enough differences that you're going to have to engage your brain a little bit more, okay? And then third exercise is going to be mat jumps, side-to-side mat jumps. So we will start on one side of our mats. So whichever side you start on, if I start on the left-hand side of my mat, I'll be standing on my left leg, right leg just crossed gently behind me, but all of my weight is on my left leg. And I'm just going to jump as far as I can, try to clear the entire length of my mat. I can let a hand come down to tap. I'm not putting weight on it though. That's for balance. And then back and forth and back and forth. Try not to have a pillow in the way and be very aware of your spatial distance because otherwise it's very easy to run into things. All right, so our 3 exercises, again, side-to-side superheroes, turtle burpees, and side-to-side mat jumps. So we're all cross-jacking away, and as soon as you hear the horn go, it's time to get down on the mat and start your side-to-side superhero. So you want to go directly from this down to here, okay? So we talk about starting on time and stopping on time. And for today, what that means is that you are minimizing the amount of time it takes you to move from the exercise you are currently doing to the exercise that you need to start doing, okay? And because we will always be doing an exercise today, that means that you never get to just set yourself up nicely beforehand you know, when we're doing tabatas, we can sort of, we're resting, giving it a little bit, and then we hear the knock, 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 and we're like, okay, I'm ready to go, I'm in position. You don't get to do that today. So be very aware of how you need to transition from one exercise to the other. So if I'm here and I'm going, okay, I think I am about ready to transition to my side-to-side mat jumps from my turtle burpees, what's the easiest way to do that? I'm going to jump up, come here, and immediately start those jumps back and forth, okay? So it gets easier, obviously, the more times that you transition, and overall just the more familiarity you have with each of the exercises. It gets easier to go, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be now. So just keep that in mind the whole time, because we want to really make sure that we are seamlessly moving from exercise to exercise, all right? We don't want to be trying to sneak in a little rest time. Oh, I'm getting over here, I'm ready to start, I'm just deep breaths. Okay, here I go, all right? No, no, no. We want to be moving and grooving the whole time. So that's our halfway horn right there. No need to change anything about what you're doing. So you see how you want to make sure that you are going straight from one exercise to the other exercise and not try. Part of the discipline is holding yourself accountable for what you know you're supposed to be doing. And in some ways, doing these classes like this is a great way to train that, because it's really all on you to build that discipline. When we're in an in-person class space, there's a little additional external pressure, because I would be in the room, you know, pacing around, looking at everybody's form, and so you know that I'm going to see if you are taking a little extra time to switch from one exercise to the other. Here, I do not have, you know, a portal into your living room to see what you're doing. So it really is entirely incumbent on you to hold yourself to the standard that you know I'm asking of you, and to go, all right, I really need to make sure that I am moving the whole time and that I am not trying to add in, you know, unnecessary rest time between exercises. So that's something I really want you to focus in on today in particular. Just, you know, be proud of yourself for being able to do that, first of all, and also just be aware, you know, our brains are masters, I tell you, at trying to convince us that we are not as awesome as we actually are. And they will do this thing where they're like, all right, everybody back to your cross jacks, whatever modification you're doing. And make sure to get some water. So yeah, our brains will absolutely do this thing where they're tricky. They're like, well, I know I'm not supposed to rest here, but you know, if I just slow down my transition just a little bit and I get a little bit of rest in, but it's not really rest, it's totally not rest. Our brains are brilliant at that. And we should congratulate them and then gently remind them that we're trying to push ourselves a little bit, you know? We are trying to impress ourselves with what we can do, okay? So make sure that when you get to the end of class, you can look back over the last hour and go, I am impressed with what I did. All right, so I'm gonna choke on my water, and then we're gonna do a perpetual motion set with 1 minute work intervals, okay? There are gonna be 3 exercises, technically only 2. One of the exercises, there'll be a first side and a second side, okay? So the first and second exercises are lunge with a knee pull. So we're gonna get into a lunge position, very similar to that Samson stretch position. All right, so extended, long leg behind me, my knee in front. We're trying to keep that as perpendicular as possible. And just gonna hold our arms out in front, stand up on the front leg, pulling that knee up, and then back down into that lunge. So up and down and up and down. And then second exercise is just going to be doing that on the other side, okay? So you're going to need to make sure to engage your core because there's a lot of movement and balance. And so we want all of those stabilizing muscle groups to be lending a hand so we don't go toppling over. Our third exercise, going to be a familiar one, chaturanga to downward dog. My standard caveat, I am not a yoga instructor, so this is just my interpretation from various yoga classes I've taken. So starting from that plank position, bringing ourselves down as if in a push-up. Then I'm going to leave my hips by the floor, extend my arms, look up at the ceiling, and then push back to a downward dog. And then back to plank, down, up, and push. All right? So those are our 3 exercises. We've got the lunge with the knee pull, first side and second side, and then chaturanga to downward dog. So everybody, make sure that you are still doing your cross jacks, getting yourselves back onto your mats, because as soon as you hear the horn, it will be time for side 1 of these lunges. So still keeping our hips nice and straight position. So again, we're still not wanting to let them open up in any direction. So even with my leg back here, my pelvis is still pointing forward as opposed to trying to pull open with my leg, okay? And I'm really engaging that core as I stand up so that when I get into this position, my ankle and foot don't have to do a ton of work to keep me in this balance and then back down. But you want to make sure that the stabilizing muscle groups are going so that you're not, your weight is not going in a direction that you don't intend it to go, okay? And I talk about this a lot. So anyone who is taking class with me knows what I mean when we're coming up to a balance like this. Even if we have the foot flat on the floor, the control over the entire body's weight is happening just at the ankle and foot. That is not a lot of real estate. So we want to be able to give them as much help as possible. And so if I've got my core engaged, and as I stand up into this position, I engage the glute on the standing leg, and that way I've controlled all the rest of this. So my ankle has one unbroken piece to work from, rather than going, oh my God, there are, 5 limbs and they're all going in different directions. What am I supposed to do here? Okay? All right, and now into chaturanga to downward dog. So you're not letting yourself lie down on the ground. All right, I am never actually touching the ground with my hips or my chest. I'm just coming really close to it before I push back up into that position. All right, so make sure that you are paying attention to that. I know that for anybody who does take yoga, I know that this position generally has people sort of flip their feet over so that they're on the top of their feet when they're doing this, and then flip them back for the pushback. I don't do that because I don't know the movement well enough to really understand how that's supposed to go. But if that is a form of the exercise that you are more familiar with, that is totally okay as a modification. I have no issue with that. Just to let you know, it is not the version I will be doing, just because I don't feel comfortable attempting that version when I don't feel like I have a full handle on it. I don't want to be trying to demonstrate it for you and doing it incorrectly. All right, form. We want to make sure that our form is correct. So we are on our second time through, my friends. So you are back on the lunges with the knee pulls. I'm really excited about this exercise. It's a new one to my arsenal, and it can be done. I debuted it at one of my functional home fitness classes, which are, of course, the weight training classes, because it can be done holding small weights in your hands. So you would be holding the weights, pulling them back as you pull the knee forward, and then pushing them forward as you go back into the lunge. So if if you want to add a little bit of additional intensity in, that is absolutely a way to do that. Not today. This is a body weight class today, but you will definitely see this exercise in more of the functional home fitness classes. So it will be back there in you'll have plenty of opportunities to test it out with the weights, or if you want to work it into whatever routines you do outside of this class, know that it can be done with weights or without weights. Either way, you're still doing some awesome work. All right, back to those chaturangas. How are we feeling? I hope that the driving bass from a nearby apartment isn't coming over the audio too much. I have a feeling that you guys are probably completely unaware of other sounds happening around the building until I point them out. That's just how it goes. I'm keenly aware of it, and I'm like, ruining my already bad audio quality. That's going to be one of the first things I get, is some sort of a boom mic, probably, that I can have from the ceiling. Wearing a lav is not really an option for a class that has me moving around this much, but a boom mic should serve our purposes pretty well, I think. And then maybe a secondary mic for when I get closer to the computer. And here we are back for our final time for lunge with the knee pull. So if you do the knee pull and you get back into the lunge, but you feel like you were a little weird and offset, settle for a second, then go back up, okay? If you're having balance problems, that may mean that you need to slow down a little bit, okay? We do not have to be going for super fast reps, especially today when we're moving the whole time. So you want to be maintaining energy to be able to make it all the way to the end of class. So do not feel like you have to be going, all right, up, okay? We're not going for that kind of speed. This is an exercise where you can be a little slower, a little more deliberate, and still be getting the full benefit of the exercise, okay? So keep that in mind. Don't feel like you need to be pushing for sprint speed. Remember, marathon mindset today. We are not here trying to win any speed records. We're not here to beat Usain Bolt or anything like that. We are here to make it through all of class without stopping movement. And so frequently that will mean that we need to do slow and steady as opposed to fast and rushed, okay? All right, coming back down for our chaturangas last time. And remember, when that final horn goes off, we will be getting back up onto our feet and going immediately back into our cross jacks, okay? So always keep that in mind, especially when you know that we're on the last exercise. We're so used to that final horn going off and us going, yeah, now I can stop moving and rest for a little bit. Except not today, because today is perpetual motion. So prep yourself now. And here we are. All right, you get right back up, started doing those cross checks again. Hey, good to see you. I hope work's going okay. But at least you can have us on in the background. That's always nice. Woo. Make sure you're still hydrating, okay? Super important, super important. Even though you're jumping around, all right? If you've ever run a race, you know that you can drink water while still moving. Just requires a little bit of finesse. Aired a ton of grievances. Okay, well, good bonding. Good bonding. I'm sorry that there are a ton of grievances to air, but hopefully the airing of them is the first step towards change. She said optimistically. Oh my goodness. All right. We're gonna go back to that AMRAP. Back to that AMRAP. So 3 new exercises. Oh, hi. Yay, everybody's in chat now. 3 more exercises for our next AMRAP. Oh, man. And the first one is going to be more lunging, but more stretch-based lunging rather than movement-based lunging. So we're going to go back into, again, this lunge. We're going to take a nice deep lunge, really sink down, and then either come down onto this hand or come down to the hand and then let yourself down onto the elbow, or bypass the hand completely and come down to the elbow and then press up to standing and other side, and you'll just go back and forth like that. Then exercise number 2. Oh man, I just love shrimps. God, I don't even like shrimps like the food all that. I mean, I like them, but I'm not crazy about them, but I love this exercise. All right, so shrimps, moving up and down our mats by first moving shoulders, then hips, shoulders, then hips, shoulders, then hips. So now I've hit the end of my mat. Time to go back in the opposite direction. All right? And then our third exercise is going to be, oh man, but don't worry, it's an AMRAP, which means you get control over it because it's going to be front plank from the elbows. So shoulders directly over elbows. So you've got that nice perpendicular line, butt out of the air, and we're just holding that for however long you want to hold it before you switch to the next exercise. All right. So our three exercises: lunge to the hand or elbow, shrimps, and then a front plank. So cross jack back to your mats, and as soon as you hear that horn go, we will be doing our lunges. All right? Now, things to remember for these AMRAP sequences. We love them. They give us a lot of control that we frequently do not feel like we get when we are doing class. And that's really awesome. But there are still some requirements. You are still required to be moving the whole time. So again, not trying to sneak little rests in there. And you do have to do every single one of the exercises, okay? You can't, the variations of not doing that are like either you have one exercise and you're like, well, I'll just do that for 5 minutes. The other variation is skipping over the exercise you don't like entirely. Neither of those is okay, all right? You do have to do each exercise. You don't have to do them for long, you know? If you're not crazy about shrimps, you can go to the end of your mat and then go, all right, I think I'm done with that. I'm gonna go do the plank now. And that's fine. But you do have to do the exercise at least a little bit. And, you know, I've talked about why that's important because, you know, even a few reps of the exercise, as long as you are also focusing on that form, which, as you know, is a component of our bare minimum, even a few reps is going to help continue to improve your ability to do that exercise so that eventually you get to the day where you're like, oh, you know, I don't hate this as much as I used to. And that's an exciting day. It's a good day for all of us. It is, okay, there is officially actually snow sticking on the ground. Now, we, you know, it's been precipitating all day, but because it was 95 degrees yesterday, it took a while for the precipitation to fully transform into snow. Hey, that was the halfway horn. And it took even longer for the snow to start sticking anywhere, just because everything was super warm. So now, I guess, everything has cooled down enough that yes, the snow is sticking. Oh my God, it's not even mid-September yet, and we're having our first snowfall. You know, this is a very Colorado thing to have happen, but even in Colorado, this is a bit early for our first snowfall. Usually, first snowfall would happen mid-October, and then generally not another snowfall until, you know, December. So this is still a bit early. On the plus side, hopefully this helps put out some of the fires in the state, because that was really bad. Oh my God, so bad. I didn't, it was the worst on Sunday, and I didn't have to leave the house on Sunday. So I went out once super early in the morning to water my plants, and then closed the door to the porch and didn't open it again until like 6. At which point the air smelled like just 20 campfires were happening nearby, and yesterday it didn't smell quite as much like smoke, but I was going to get a package and walking back from the mailroom and going, it's not snowing yet because it's still 70 degrees. So this is definitely just ash falling from the sky. Awesome. Welcome to 2020. All right, my friends. So with that horn, we go immediately back into our cross tracks, whatever version you are doing. All right. So hopefully your state is not on fire wherever you are. And if it is, I feel your pain. And if your state is not on fire, but is being covered with smoke and ash from other states' fires, I also feel your pain. God, what a weird time. What a weird time, my friends. Well, you know what? We're here, and we're exercising, keeping ourselves fit, keeping ourselves healthy, getting together, hanging out on Twitch, which is super fun. And, you know, that is a good thing. And I hope to keep getting to hang out with y'all here on the stream for a long time to come. All right, back to perpetual motion with 1-minute intervals, okay? So our final 3 exercises, and then, I mean, you're not going to be able to stop moving after this, but we're going to go into calf awareness after this is done, and then you'll be able to stop moving. I promise eventually you'll be able to stop moving, but now is not that moment. Okay, so perpetual motion, and we've got 3 new exercises. Well, not new, we've done them before, but 3 new today exercises. First one is going to be held sumo squat. So we're going to take that nice wide squat position, turned out. Make sure your knees are going straight over your feet, but we're not putting our hands on our knees. So if you can't keep your knees over your feet with your feet turned out that wide, turn them in a little bit, okay? And you're just going to press your forearms together and just hold this position for a full minute, okay? Woo! It's gonna be fun. Then you're gonna do side to side planks. So starting from our front plank position, coming up onto one arm, letting those heels just drop to the side, reaching that other arm up towards the ceiling, then to the other side, and just going back and forth and back and forth, okay? And then third exercise, there's gonna be a little jumping, but it's flying chickens. So I think the flying chickens are easy enough. So flying chickens and their cousins, the star jumps, are related to jumping jacks, but instead of jump out and land, jump in and land, you jump the feet out in the air and they land in the same place they started. So out in, out in, out in, out in. For your arms, for flying chickens, thumbs at chest height. If you wear a bra, just hooking them behind your bra straps gives you the right positioning. And we're just flapping our elbows, okay? All right, so held sumo squat, side to side planks, and flying chickens. 1 minute work intervals. Holy moly, you can do it. Cross jack over to those mats. Get ready as soon as you hear that horn now into the position and hold, okay? So again, you don't get to stop and prep, all right? That active rest exercise is always happening unless you're actively doing an exercise for one of our working timers, okay? So for our held squat, you don't want to be leaning too far forward, so make sure you've engaged your core. You can keep your back up and down. It's going to have a little bit of lean, but you don't want to be like flat backing forward, okay? So again, I talk about how important our core is all the time. We've engaged the glutes, we've engaged the inner quads, everything is holding us in this position, and then the horn goes and we can come down here and start doing our side-to-side planks. Remember, shoulder directly over your wrist, okay? So you've got that nice 90-degree angle between your arm and the ground, and we're not going quickly from one side to the other. We want to make sure that that shoulder is nice and stable and strong, okay? Not wobbling around. You are controlled throughout every part of this, okay? This is a great shoulder strengthening exercise, and we do not need to move quickly on it, okay? We can really just take our time. All right, up for our flying chickens. I recommend doing them on your mat if you're on the second floor or above and in an apartment building, you know, just to be kind and courteous to your downstairs neighbors, trying not to jump too loudly on top of their heads, all right? And again, here we are in perpetual motion class. So this is the most cardio of the exercises I've given you today, but we do not need to be going for intense speed or, you know, height of the jump. We can really just make sure that we're moving the whole time until it's time to get back into the held sumo squat. Second time through, my friends. Woo! All right, second time through. And here we are. We are at about the end of class. So you are going to finish this out. You're not going to be able to stop moving quite yet, but for those of you who've done class before, you've done calf awareness, you know that calf awareness is basically our opportunity to really bring the breathing back under control, bring the heart rate back under control. So this right here is the last of the super intense aerobic exercise that we'll be doing for class. So here we are in our final stretch of our race, basically. Once we start into our final run through these 3 exercises, that will basically be the point where you've run 13 miles and you see that finish line. It's just 0.1 miles ahead of you, and you dig in for that last pocket of energy that you've been saving just for this occurrence, because you know that when you get so close to the end of the race, you no longer have to be carefully managing and rationing your energy, okay? You've been doing that for an hour, and that's great, and that allows you to do the class and to keep moving the whole time, and that's exactly what we wanted. But when we get here, when we get to our final run through these exercises, that's the time where we go, okay, all right, I don't need to hold back anymore. I can really go and push myself. And with the first two exercises, not much is really going to change. You know, held sumo squat, it's not like you can hold it faster. That's not really how held position works. And for our side-to-side planks, you know, as I said, you don't want to be speeding them up a ton. So our flying chickens are going to be the time where we're going to take that last pocket of energy and we're going to go, okay, all right, we are going to use this and we are going to push ourselves as fast as we can go, as hard as we can go, because this is the end of the cardio. This is the end of the intense aerobic stuff. And I am sprinting towards that finish line. All right, here we are. We are in our final run through these exercises. Check back in on your form, okay? Remember that your knees need to be over your feet, okay? That's why we're engaging all of the musculature in our thighs, basically, to help turn the legs out, turn the knees out, and hold them there, okay? So again, if you're not able to safely hold your knees here, then you can turn your feet in a little bit, and then you don't have to worry about holding your knees out this far. Remember to keep breathing, all right? Really easy for us to stop breathing, to hold our breath when we're holding every other muscle. And let me tell you, you still need that oxygen. You still need that oxygen to be coming through for the rest of these exercises. So whenever we are doing a held position, I really want you to check in and make sure that you are still breathing and not holding your breath and going, yes, this holding of my breath will make this exercise easier. It won't. All it will do is deprive you of the oxygen that you actually need to make the exercise easier. Okay? So keep that in mind, my friends, as you, well, you're not going to have to do that again today, but in calf awareness, we will have a lot of held positions. So you are going to want to make sure that you are paying attention and continuing to breathe. All right, my friends, here we are. So this is our last minute. You do have to go right into calf awareness when this is done. So you don't get to fully stop, but this is the last big aerobic thing that we are doing, all right? So we are sprinting towards that finish line. We are going. We no longer have to hold any of that energy back. We can really just keep pushing forward. We've got 15 seconds left, so we're getting super close. We're in the funnel. All of our friends and loved ones are there cheering us on, getting really excited. The photographers are there. All right, keep moving gently. All right, just like this, just side to side like that. And then as soon as you hear, nope, I was not trying to talk to either of you. All right. Okay, still moving, but as soon as you hear the horn again, we are going to just balance really nice and calmly on one foot. Oh man. All right. Balance. Here's a great time for us to really bring our heart rate down, bring our breathing back under control. really concentrate on this position. So we still want to be engaging all of our stabilizing muscle groups. Again, it's a balance. So we want to make sure we have control over all of the rest of our weight so that the micro adjustments that our feet and ankles are making are truly micro, and we're not feeling the need to try to make any adjustments with any other areas. So we're not, wobbling around, moving our arms around. We are really just holding here and then switching to the other side. Same notes apply. So core is engaged. That captures the torso, glute, and quads are engaged on the standing leg, which connects in with the work that core is doing and just brings basically everything from the knee upward under control. So by the time you get down to the ankle and it's like, okay, ankle, you need to be managing all of this weight, all of the other stabilizing muscle groups are doing enough of that work that the ankle's like, oh yeah, no biggie, I totally got this. This is super easy, okay? So that's how you should think about it as we're here. When that timer goes off again, we're going to go back to the first side and balance again, but this time we will be balancing on the ball of our foot, okay? So here we go. And this is really difficult, all right? We're basically trying to stand as if we are wearing a super high heel, except we're not. So we are truly balancing on the ball of that foot. So while we still want to try and guide the balance from our ankle and foot, it's a lot harder, and there is more forgiveness for wobbling around. One thing I will say, if you feel like you are about to fall out, try and control it. Try and control bringing your heel back down to the ground, reset, and go again, okay? So that you are still getting the sense of how to control the movement, and you're still doing some really great work for your calf. All right, other side. You will also learn very quickly that one side is likely better at balancing than the other side. And that is great information to have just in general. So again, check in on all of those stabilizing muscle groups, because we still want them to be engaged in the process, all right? And it's easier to sort of let them go and forget about them. And then as soon as we re-engage with them, you'll have a moment where you're like, oh, hang on, this is way easier when I actually remember to engage all of those muscles. I'm able to hold this a lot longer before I have to shift. All right, back to that first foot. Go up on the ball, then rock back on the heel. Here, I'll show you from the side. So still balancing on the foot, and we're just going up on the ball, back on the heel, back and forth, okay? So it's a balance the whole time. You can let your butt come behind you a little bit as you rock back on the heel, because otherwise you're basically just trying to lift your foot really high up, and that's just going to be murder on the shins. So up on the ball, back on the heel, just on this one foot the whole time. Really get that core engaged and working, and it will feel so much easier to maintain this, okay? And then as soon as the horn goes, to the other side. Hey, up on the ball, back on the heel, just going back and forth between these two positions, okay? You'll notice that I came down to the ground. I will admit, I'm not always crazy about doing these balance positions on super flexible surfaces, just because obviously it's next to impossible to actually fully stabilize on a surface that is so flexible under your weight. And there are so many ways for these balances to go wrong and for you to end up injuring yourself. And so once I start moving, I like to be a little flatter. All right, last movement. We've just rocked back onto our heels. Do not let your toes come back down until that final horn. And you want to hold the position as long as you can. When you need to, you can sort of walk around on your heels and adjust. Hold, walk around, and hold, but don't let those toes come down. So this is really getting the shins involved, okay? Lots of shin. And man, will it feel really nice when you get to a point in your fitness where this no longer feels quite so killer. Oh man, 3, 2, 1. And there we are. There we are, my friends. Woo! Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. What a good class. What a good class. Thanks for being with me on this snowy day in September. Man, yeah. It's not supposed to be this cold the next few days. It's supposed to go back up to like the 50s, I think, tomorrow. But it's definitely going to be pretty aggressively fall weather for a couple of days before a little bit of the heat comes back. So, you know, I do very much love this weather, so I will rarely complain too much. But it is also really weird to look out there and see green leaves covered in snow. Anyway, make sure you finish out your water and then immediately refill it. Hydration, important, always. I'm putting on my fitness mom voice. Make sure you're hydrating, kids. Okay, we've got 3 more classes this week. Tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Mountain is Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. Then Friday at 6 p.m. is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. Who knows? Depending on the temperature, maybe I'll be weightlifting with my hurt box here. Who knows? And then Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Is the weekend kickoff, which is a great strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. Really nice way to start out the weekend. So I hope to see you back here for some of those. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All my handles will be up in the end cards. My YouTube channel, Blanche Case Fitness, is where I upload the VODs from these classes, and is also going to have supplemental material as well. Exercise sequences, warm-up sequences, form videos, stuff like that. So definitely head over there and subscribe for that content. If you enjoyed yourself and feel financially able to make a donation to help me keep making these streams, I do have a Ko-fi account. Donations are always appreciated, never required. And if you want to help me keep growing this channel, then please do follow for plenty more fun times ahead. So yeah, now I think I'm going to take a shower and get into some cozy PJs, make myself some tea, and have the beautiful snowy evening in fall that I want to be having. So have a great rest of your night, and hopefully I will see some of you here tomorrow. Mwah. Have a great night.